There's some exciting rumors brewing around Giga Texas that test production could actually start as soon as next week. I've definitely seen a lot of speculation on whether or not this is actually possible from the state of the factory as we can currently see it, but the truth is that I think a lot of people are perhaps forgetting that a lot of Tesla Model Ys that are coming out of Fremont were built in a tent, and Tesla is willing to build vehicles basically in the harshest of circumstances, oftentimes without very good air conditioning or drainage systems put in place, which is what I've seen a lot of people bring up with Giga Texas. There's a lot of aspects of it that are definitely not done. We can still look into the cells section of the factory where 4680s are supposed to be produced, and we can tell there's no equipment in there. So I'm trying to be realistic about this rumor and suggest that I actually do believe a fully completed interior and an exterior Model Y will be built probably within the next couple weeks. However, just like the source was saying, it's not going to be a road legal one. This is not a vehicle that's being built for actual customers or even really meant to be road tested. It's primarily for calibration of the equipment that's been installed. Most of the construction going on at the factory right now, from what we know about the layout and the floor space, is most likely for Cybertruck production. I actually think that the majority of the footprints of the factory that are designated for the Model Y casting presses and the paint shop and the general assembly, all of those aspects of the factory are pretty much walled in and will likely be able to go into operation to test out this equipment to make sure it works, which is honestly a good and important step Tesla has to take before they actually start mass production, because keep in mind, I think a lot of people are forgetting about this, Giga Texas is using a lot of brand new manufacturing techniques that Tesla has never used before. This is not just a carbon cut copy of the Fremont Model Y assembly plant, and it's not even a carbon cut copy of the Giga Shanghai Model Y assembly line. But if you look at the factory layout for Giga Shanghai, you can see that for Model Y production, it's basically just a long stretch of building, and Giga Texas is being optimized to not just mass produce the Model Y, but also the Cybertruck, hopefully in the first half of next year. So that means that the aspects of the factory that are looking more completed, that have windows going up, that likely Elon Musk is able to take conference call meetings from during the shareholder call, those aspects of the factory have equipment that is being calibrated and tested, as we saw from the last shareholder deck where they showed the casting presses and they saw the robotic arms being prepared. We know what the paint shop is supposed to look like, but we don't know for sure if that's only done at Giga Berlin or if the paint shop is optimized for Giga Texas. But either way, there's all kinds of new techniques that Tesla has not messed around with before, so it makes sense to make test units to basically make a Model Y that you don't really plan on selling, just to ensure that the robotics are working correctly, the paint shop is operational, and a lot of things that they tested internally and maybe mapped out in their computers and their software actually does work in the real world, and how to tinker and alter these manufacturing processes to make them better so that quality control can be top notch. As Elon Musk said, with these next generation Model Ys, they're going to be measuring panel gaps and paint with microns, not millimeters. And Tesla has still technically not had a factory mass producing structural battery packs or even single piece front castings. They've done the single piece rear casting, so just to give you a little bit of perspective on how much new technology is going to be implemented with these factories, and from what we're seeing, it seems like Giga Texas has pulled ahead of schedule from Giga Berlin, which is crazy because Berlin has been under construction since 2019, whereas Giga Texas wasn't even confirmed until just about a year ago. So it shows that Texas has moved immensely quick, and it's great news to find out that they're ready to calibrate equipment and perhaps start making test models of the Model Y to figure out if everything is working correctly. And the source that the drone squad was actually in contact with that was on site and reliable was suggesting that Giga Texas could be producing consumer-ready Model Ys within the next 2 months. Now, I don't think necessarily that their source is lying, and I don't think that the drone squad is making up stuff, but I do think what's highly likely is Tesla having overly ambitious timelines that they don't necessarily have a chance of meeting. There's all kinds of times Elon Musk has gone on the record saying, oh yeah, this will be done by this time, or we'll have an orbital test by July, and he gets a lot of stuff done, but there's a reason Elon time is a thing, and I think that if we didn't have those ambitious timelines, progress would probably be a lot slower than it actually is. So, not saying it's a bad thing to have overly ambitious timelines, but ultimately I would not be shocked if that's the running rumor running around Giga Texas right now. All of the workers and people who are moving out to Austin, Texas to work specifically at this factory to help mass produce Model Ys, perhaps they're being told that that within 2 months they want to have consumer vehicles ready, and I've seen Texas pull up whole buildings really quickly, and I've seen Tesla do incredible things in terms of how fast they can get vehicles ready, especially with the Model Y. That vehicle came out 6 months ahead of schedule, so they're obviously masters of figuring out how to mass produce the Model Y, and it's a very similar situation in China, and knowing how many parts and manufacturing steps they get to skip with this next generation model makes me think that, yeah, probably getting the factory line mass producing Model Ys for everyday people that can actually be delivered, it could be done in 2 to 3 months. I'm still expecting by the end of this year, and I understand that there's tons of aspects of Giga Texas that are not done yet. You know, they're still using porta potties, they don't have the drainage system figured out, there's still no real HVAC system in place, and I've seen some people mention that there's no test track, but I don't think there's one in China either. They could just put the cars on these little rollers that allows the motors to accelerate really high without the vehicle actually having to travel very much. So there's all different ways they can test and calibrate vehicles before they deliver them without having to get a test track, but all I'm saying is, you know, Tesla has been able to mass produce tons of vehicles in not ideal situations where facilities are not complete and sometimes all the workers have over their heads is a tent. So that's why I don't think it's crazy. I do think it's believable that Giga Texas will be producing vehicles for customers in the next couple months, and does that mean we could be looking at test models, or not road ready but factory built Model Ys that are using 4680s that came over from Cato Road? Maybe not every aspect of the vehicle was produced at Giga Texas, but this was technically built and assembled at this facility within the next week. I do believe it. I think it's real, and I have no clue if they're actually going to take that Model Y outside. If they do, I'm sure the drone squad will probably do their best to catch it, but I'm obviously very curious to hear what you guys think. Do you think Giga Texas is going to be building test Model Ys within the next couple weeks and perhaps building Model Ys for consumers in the next couple months? Feel free to let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.